Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel presented by DraftKings. Subscribe to it and give this video a like.
A podcast below in the description. Get on that as well.
Also, check out American Giant. I got my hoodie on right now. American-Giant.com, promo code HAM.
Yeah, just giving deals. 15% off. No big deal.
I just got the text from Middlecoff that said, Darnold, traded. Panthers. Schefter says, Jets trading Sam Darnold to the Panthers for a 2021 sixth-rounder and a second and fourth in 2022. First reaction is what?
I had to read it like 3 times to understand when the picks were coming. A little complicated. Clearly, teams this year, I think Wentz and now piggybacking off this, were like, we're not giving you second and first round picks this year, unless the Niners for trading up, like for existing players. We will discount them in later years. It's a kind of a bizarre trade, right? Usually, you'd want the second and fourth rounder for this draft, but I think it shows you a little like Carson Wentz what the market wasn't that strong.
Yeah, when Schefter came on, what did he say? Basically, he said maybe
second isn't nothing for a team that hasn't won, though. You know, that pick could be top 40.
Carolina's pick for the Jets. Yeah, it could be a really good pick.
I mean, I would imagine this year they're picking 39 or 40th, so it's...
I would imagine part of the difficulty was that you were in this weird spot, right? The Panthers, it's been reported, have already picked up his fifth-year option. So you're kind of this weird spot where you've got to commit this money to him.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to trade for him, you got to
do that.
You're in like a 2-year trial run.
And as we've talked about, it's everyone needs a quarterback, and then you start going through, okay, how many teams could actually trade for a quarterback? And there are not that many. So a few things.
Sam Darnold's agent today is like,
yeah, I mean, it is not a bad spot for him given what his options look like they might be. There weren't that many options in the end.
Well, it's a 2-year, $30 million contract, basically. Once you pick up the fifth-year option, that's what it plays out to. They have offensive talent with Christian McCaffrey. To me, the move, I just think it gives clarity on a couple things. Carolina now is no longer coming up. You know, you wouldn't trade second and fourth, pick up his fifth-year option, and then trade up to try to draft a rookie. That doesn't make any sense. And I think we now have 100% clarity on the Jets are taking a quarterback. So if you're the Niners, now they might have already known that, but now everyone knows that. I think the question mark now is Sam Darnold has a spot. I actually kind of like it. Joe Brady, no excuses. Let's see if you can coach up Joe Burrow. Kind of some similarities. Joe Burrow's playing style, Sam Darnold a little bit. Who are the Jets going to take? Like that to me, do the Niners know that? Yeah, I'd say there's a chance, but I don't know 100% that they would know it. I think everyone thinks it's Zach Wilson. I don't know if I'm as confident as everybody else.
I am. So you and I did not talk about this at all before we started making this video. My first reaction was not that anything has really changed for the 49ers, because I think we've all believed the Jets very well could take a quarterback, but now there's no question about it. And the odd dynamic here is that the offensive coordinator for the Jets is a Kyle Shanahan guy. So in theory, they would like the same guys. Now, maybe Kyle likes Zach Wilson and Justin Fields a lot, and he just thinks they're going to take Wilson and I'll get Fields. Cool. But if he really likes Fields, and I don't think it'd be crazy to have Fields and Lance, but just alone Fields ahead of Zach Wilson, I would just be holding my breath again that they don't take my guy, because now there's no doubt about what they're going to do. Now, would they know a little? Maybe they do know. Maybe they've gotten a hint. Maybe, but maybe not, because you know who's not the GM? Robert Saleh. You know who's not the GM? Mike LaFleur. Joe Douglas is the GM.
Yeah.
It's just there is enough unknown here to make me uncomfortable if I'm the Niners.
I'm with you. I do think the Niners would have to have some semblance of an idea that this was going to happen, that they were going to trade Sam Darnold, and if you knew Sam Darnold was going to get traded, who they might like. I'm with you. Like, ultimately, not even just LaFleur, but Robert Saleh has had a mentor, his mentor, Kyle Shanahan, the last 4 years. I mean, they didn't just talk like the game plan. Like, they spent 365 together, talking football, talking philosophies, talking. This guy wanted to be a head coach now for a couple years. What do you think? What would be the number one question? Not like, what do I feed him for lunch? No, it's like, what are we looking for in a quarterback? Now, the major difference in San Francisco and in the New York Jets is Kyle Shanahan's the boss. Robert Saleh is not making this call. But when I look back at the history of busts and hits with first-round quarterbacks, I do think a huge, huge impact on that quarterback having success, a guy that's drafted really high, the GM and the head coach being on the same page. Like when I read these articles that Ryan Pace didn't tell anybody and he drafted Mr. Trubisky, like that's a disaster. Like when you think about the Mahomes, the part of the Mahomes was like they were all working together. John Dorsey was still there, Veach, Andy. It was a group effort. Josh Allen with the Bills, Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott. Like it was a group think in a good way. Like it was togetherness. I can't imagine Joe Douglas. You wouldn't force who you really liked if your head coach hated it. Like you guys are in bed together as business partners, right? So I do think while ultimately the GM has the juice, this is it'd be one thing like in the NBA, like, hey man, we're signing the small forward, you're going to coach him up, whatever. But if you're going to sign the quarterback of your futures for both of you, I think it would be like malpractice to not be at least talk it out till the 100th degree to figure this out, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Same with the Niners. Now, ultimately, the difference is like Kyle is the guy coaching them. So it's like, okay, John, I don't agree with you. I'm going to take my guy. It's my guy. Like it's my offense.
Right. But I do think a big part
I'm not
of
saying
the 49ers,
that's right, but
I do think a big part of the 49ers as we know them today being a successful operation is part of that is dependent on Kyle Shanahan not talking to John, even if he's going to take his guy, doing it in a way, taking the opinions of others in a way that makes them feel valued. Right.
Yeah.
But I agree with you on your Jets point. I do think ultimately they're going to take Zach Wilson, and I understand it. And if they do, then I'll think maybe Kyle would have taken Zach Wilson too if he was in that position. But the other thing I think about is, the Panthers are drafting, and it was not a very good secret. The Panthers wanted a quarterback. They're drafting at 8. And we know that Jacksonville's going to take a quarterback, and we know that the Jets are going to take a quarterback, and we know that the 49ers are going to take a quarterback. So then we get them to Atlanta at 4. And there's a couple questions here. One, is Atlanta going to take a quarterback?
I think it's a great unknown. I don't think it's a lock.
I think they're not trading, given that I'm sure Carolina tried to trade with them. If Carolina loves a quarterback, unless Carolina doesn't like anybody but guys that they think will be gone. Like part of this could be,
I couldn't trade with Atlanta until I knew who was there.
Yeah,
that's a four's pretty far.
And you'd have to know. And again, that's assuming you like the 4th best quarterback, or your quarterback in the top 3 is not one of the guys taken in the top 3, which might be unlikely. That's a lot of guys.
When the Jets went from 3 to 6 to get Sam Darnold, they traded 3 seconds. So if I'm Atlanta, you want to come from 8 to 4. At minimum, I'd probably need 3 seconds. That's a lot to give up without
the one thing. If
knowing
you're
who's going to be
Detroit,
there.
if you're Detroit, you'd say to Atlanta, or if you're Carolina, you'd go. See, this is the other thing. If Atlanta's not going to trade with them, is Atlanta not going to trade at all? Because conceivably, one of two things is going to happen. Either the 4th best quarterback gets drafted by Atlanta at 4, and we have 4 quarterbacks going the top 4 picks. Either Carolina is there at 8 with no trades, and Cincinnati and Miami and Detroit have all not traded. Because if that's the case, Carolina would have their shot at the 4th best quarterback at 8. Because if Atlanta passes, Cincinnati, Miami, Detroit don't need one. Now they could. That's
usually the way it plays out.
Detroit could. You're saying that somebody trades into one of those.
Detroit's
spots.
not taking. I think they've already been all right. Like they're taking a player.
So, it could be that Carolina goes. Yeah, we don't want Mac Jones at 8. Like we think he'll be there. We don't want that.
What if Trey Lance is the guy that falls? We don't want that guy either.
Yeah. Because it's not if 4, 5, 6, 7 don't trade, then Carolina will have the 5th quarterback sitting there at 8, right?
You're assuming that Atlanta takes the 4th quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. And if Atlanta doesn't, then is someone going to move up for the 4th guy, or will the 4th and 5th quarterback be sitting there at 8 for Carolina? That's conceivable too.
Yeah. But then, to me, you wouldn't do this deal, pick up a 5th-year option, probably take the quarterback, or you just start doubling down on that position.
What do you mean?
Seems like a little bit like to me, once you trade for Sam Darnold and pick up his 5th-year option, drafting a quarterback in the 1st round feels a little reckless.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't. They did the evaluation, and they don't like, even if Atlanta passes, they don't like the 4th or 5th guy enough.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, And that means that like maybe the fourth best quarterback is there at 9 or 10 or 11 or who knows.
Yeah. But the good thing for the Niners, for now we know for sure 2 quarterbacks, they won't get you're not going to get them compared to those guys, right? Unless your guy's better. But like, should have had Zach Wilson over Justin Fields. Like that wasn't an option. Whoever they take, they're going to get judged on how they clumped them out of the 3.
Yeah.
Right. Quarterback 1, quarterback 2, and it is possible. It feels like Zach Wilson. I don't think it's a lock. Let's say it is, like who they rank: Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. That will define Kyle Shanahan's, I think, tenure as a head coach.
Do you think
it's the biggest move he'll ever make by a mile? I mean, it's not even possible to make a bigger move.
No,
right?
It's not. It's not. And
the crazy part about the move, there is stuff out of his control, which, getting back to what we've been talking about now for, it feels like a month, maybe it's been like 2 weeks, is that they had to have a pretty good idea who was going to be there at 3 to pull that trigger, because you wouldn't make the biggest move of your career with a bunch of unknowns, right?
Yeah, the only other way you would do it is if you're like, we love Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, and we know we're guaranteed to get one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. That's a known. Like they had that known. Like they had some pretty solid knowns when they made the move.
You're saying you think they know what the Jets are up to? Is that what you're saying?
No, like they had, of the guys like Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, like they were clearly very comfortable taking 2 of the 5 of them.
Yeah.
Or 4 of them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. The
You wouldn't just trade up on a wing and a prayer, hope like, Zach Wilson was the only guy we wanted, we'd hope he falls. Right.
Once we get into the film, we'll figure out who we like.
Be malpractice. It was easier for the Jets. Like to me, it kind of shows like the market on Sam Darnold is probably a little more lukewarm than people thought. Remember, Schefter told us that we thought he was going to get late first. They didn't sniff a late first.
That was back when Schefter was on the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing,
I guess they did. They might have, if that picks.
They might have. The other part of it is that again, here's a quarterback trade without a lot of. We all thought Sam would get traded, or we thought it could happen, but there wasn't a lot of like Jets leakage, right? Not a lot of that going on. It just happened. And I guess it made sense.
Sam was gonna go, did you?
What's that?
I had no clue where he was going to end up.
No, it was. In retrospect, it does make some sense, right? That Carolina, we thought wanted a quarterback badly, and they couldn't get there. But I think that penciled. That turned out to be true.
We don't know for sure that they loved any of these guys.
No, we don't know that. But when an owner's involved in the rumor, I tend to believe the rumor a little bit more.
Yeah, but they wanted Watson, right? Or Russell Wilson. Like, these quarterbacks whoever the Niners get is a question mark, right? It's really risky. And given what you have to trade up to, like, 8-2 would have cost them probably 2 first-rounders, right? It would have cost them 8, it would cost them another year, and then probably a couple 2. It would have been expensive.
Yeah. I like it, John.
I do think the Watson domino of him just being untouchable right now has changed everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. For multiple teams. For the Niners, for the Dolphins,
Carolina.
Maybe, for Carolina.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. I
draft here yet?
No. And that's the beauty of it. We got time. As long as we get like one QB trade or big draft trade a week, I think we're on a pretty good pace here.
Yeah, I know. I'm cool with it.
It's only Monday, John.
Yeah. Like we always say, love trades. Just keep them Monday through Thursday, maybe Friday morning. Don't ever waste a Saturday. If you are going to go weekend, just go Sunday afternoon.
That's right. Thank you, NFL.
Yeah, we appreciate you.